Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
Good
A
morning,
warm welcome
everyone.
to our workshop. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar titled Assessing Grants for Small Businesses. It's proudly hosted by Aurora Business Center. My name is Happiness Eze, and I am the marketing manager here. We're excited to have you join us today. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, or just exploring funding options, this session is designed to equip you with real tools and resources to find and apply for grants. If this is your first time connecting with us today, welcome. The Aurora Business Center is a flexible private office space located in San Leandro, dedicated to supporting local entrepreneurs, freelancers, and small business owners. We are more than just workspaces. We are a hub where the local business community can connect, grow, and thrive. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your business, we are here to support you. And that includes bringing you today's event on assessing grants. Here's what we'll cover today: how to write strong, fundable grant applications, where to find state and federal grant opportunities, and a live demonstration of the California Grants Portal, a centralized platform where you can explore available grants programs in real time. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes. Everyone will remain muted during this session. Feel free to type your questions into the chat at any time, and we'll have a Q&A sessions after each speaker. And yes, this session is being recorded, and we'll send you the replay and resources afterwards. Thank you. To kick things off, I'm honored to introduce our first speaker, Masha Gray. Masha is a TEDx speaker, three-time best-selling author, business coach, and the CEO of Her Sweet Spot, a certified WMBE network that supports women of color in business through coaching, grants, and leadership development. With over 20 years of experience in fintech and entrepreneurship, Masha has helped countless business owners access funding and grow sustainably. Today, Masha will be taking us through a grant application mastery workshop. She will break down the full grant application process from understanding requirements to writing strong narratives and presenting your budget, all in a way that helps you stand out to founders. Masha, thank you for joining us today. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. I'm Marcia Guerriere. I'm going to share my screen now and take you through today's workshop on grant application mastery. So this workshop will help give you 6 crucial mistakes to avoid when completing grant applications, and will follow through with how you set goals and really help you achieve submitting your grant applications from here. Thank you again, Happiness. As she mentioned, I am a TEDx speaker. I have written, supported, and helped thousands of women entrepreneurs develop and grow their businesses. I have been featured in countless media, partnered with large organizations such as Chase, Microsoft, National Grid, and National Coalition for 100 Black Women to deliver these types of workshops. And I've also been able to secure over $500,000 in sponsorship, which includes financial, in-kind, and media sponsorship. So let's get into today's conversation. First thing I want to talk about are the 4 key steps in the grant funding process. These steps will help you kind of think through what you should be working on when it comes to your grant application. One, you want to identify the opportunities that are right for your business. You want to search for grants that match your project's goals and the criteria that you set for your business. You want to make sure it aligns with what the grantor is asking for, and that you really prioritize deadlines. right? And the second thing is to prepare and submit the application. People often mistake the fact that applications are quick and easy. It's just a simple question and answer process, but it really takes preparation for you to create a detailed proposal, which again, as we said, goes in line with the grantor's priorities and their deadlines. So you want to make sure that you submit the application by the specific deadline and follow the instructions that the grantor has requested. Just want to mute some folks. The third thing is to review and make some decisions. There are many expert reviewers that can help you assess your application based on the criteria that you have. You want to be able to tap into ecosystems where if you are not feeling confident to review your own applications, then you can work with someone to help you make the right decisions in terms of is this application and the proposal winnable? Right? Grantors select projects that align best with their objectives and their budget. So you don't want to be in a position where you're overstating your budget and your project's goals and or under bidding and or understating that budget as well. Believe it or not, understating your budget also throws you off the list for grantors. It's a sweet spot that you want to stay somewhere in the middle. And then one of the key and crucial steps to the grant funding process is the post-award management and reporting. This is where I see a lot of applicants and or small businesses kind of fall through. And one thing you don't want to do is not be refundable. Sometimes you can get additional opportunities if you complete these 4 cycles professionally and promptly. You want to fulfill the grant requirements. You want to include reporting any impact to the how you spent the money, the milestones that you've reached throughout the lifespan of the grant process. You want to use the fund responsibly and evaluate the project's impact as needed. And you want to be able to show and display that to your grantors. These are the 4 key steps in really securing your funds and the whole funding process. So now let's look at the 6 common mistakes to avoid when completing a grant application. We're going to walk through these common mistakes when you're applying for grants and how you can avoid them, whether you're applying for a grant for the very first time after today's call, or it is your 5th time and you have been not seeing great success in even getting feedback on the response from grantors. Most grantors do not respond to every application that they receive, but you want to be able to refine and review your own application and possibly look for the leaks and the holes. How can you submit a stronger application for the next time? How can you be more competitive in your application to get noticed by your funders? So let's get into it. The first thing is the lack of research. The mistake we make here is failing to thoroughly research the grants and the criteria that the grantor is seeking. Subsequently, your consequences that you're going to be submitting an application that doesn't even align with their grant objectives or requirements, and thus not getting you even past their first round. Grantors have multiple rounds that they're often looking through their applicants. You will be reviewed. It's almost like, I don't say that they run through AI processes like job applications now. Most grantors do review, but even if it were to pass through an AI process for that initial phase in order to be looked at further on, are you aligning the objectives in your proposal? Do your responses match what the description of the project and the projects that they want to fund, right? Here is where you want to invest time in researching the grant thoroughly to understand its focus, the eligibility criteria, and the valuation process. Oftentimes, I do see many applicants apply for things that they're not even eligible to apply for. So this is a very key step in the lack of research that I've seen with grant applicants. The second thing is an incomplete or inaccurate information. Grantors are doing their due diligence, right? By providing incomplete or inaccurate information on your application, you again are eliminating your chances for moving on to the second phase of the application and the grant process that is happening behind the scenes. You want to reduces your chances of that success, your credibility in being able to deliver the results or the impact of the project that you say. If you have incomplete, inaccurate, and even times misspellings, grammar issues within your application, those are signs that grantors, when reviewing, will use against you. So what you want to do here, your solution is to carefully review the application requirements and provide accurate and complete information. We're going to talk a little bit later on about what you can do to successfully be ready for applying for grants. The third thing is that you're usually ignoring the instructions. I see this personally inside the Her Rise micro grant applications. People are disregarding specific application or instructions, and especially word limits. Now, you will get word limits, and oftentimes the section for which you are submitting those word limits would allow you to go over. But in the review process, in that first phase process, they are reviewing to see if you are following and or ignoring the instructions. This demonstrates a lack of attention to detail and may lead to disqualification because they want to know that you can follow instruction and you pay close attention to details, which will then make you a perfect candidate to deliver the project's goals, right? So the solution here is for you to follow the instructions precisely and respect word limits to present a well-organized and compliant application. The fourth thing is the lack of clear goals and impact. Here is where we fail to articulate our clear goals and intent, impact of the project or the business itself. What is your business model? What are your business's goals and the impact of the project for which you are seeking the funding, right? This makes it challenging for reviewers to understand the significance of your proposal and if the funding is going to truly make a difference in your ability to deliver this project. So you want to clearly define your objective and positive outcomes of your project and your business that you will achieve by getting the funding through this grant. The fifth thing is weak budget planning. Again, this is something that I have seen with a lot of our suite mates that are not really spending time to create detailed and realistic budgets for their projects, especially if you are new at your business, if your overall financials for your business doesn't earn more than, let's just say, $100,000. But you create a budget for a project, one project once for the year that is over 100,000. It doesn't align with the financials that you have to submit to the in the application process, right? So you want to ensure that your last year's budget and your last year's financials, that revenue that you've earned, aligns with the budget for the projects that you are submitting for. When you do this, trust me, it raises doubts about your financial preparedness and the project's feasibility. Oftentimes, grantors don't want to know that their grant will be the only source of income and revenue for you to do this project. They want to know that you have other financial resources to help you should, for any reason in the future, your project, their funding will go away. They want to know that this is a long-term impact, and there are several iterations and cohorts of your your program and your project. So here you want to develop a comprehensive budget that aligns with the grant's funding scope and demonstrate financial responsibility. There are several and many grants out there that would like you to, eligibility criteria requires you to be, to have a overall organizational budget of, let's say, $500,000. And each project would be budgeted within that. You need to be able to show that your overall financial outlook doesn't depend solely on that one budget, one program. The sixth thing is the lack of proof or supporting documentation. Failing to provide evidence-based testimonials and supporting documents to show that, one, you have the expertise in order to run this program. If it is not your first program, then you have done it successfully, and what the impact of previous running of the program would be like. You want to show that it is a needed program and show evidence of all of these things. Any previous customers and or participants of your projects and programs can help you really validate the necessity for the funding. Here is where the opportunities are missed for you to strengthen your application and, again, build that credibility that people are looking for. The solution is to review relevant documents such as letters of support, market research, or previous achievements that will help bolster your case. Relevant documents are so important for you to gather prior to you being asked for them. You need to, when you complete a project, when you have a partnership with another business or a client or organization, you want to ask them in advance for letters of support, which takes me to our next section, which is 3 practical steps to staying grant ready. The first step is going to keep your core documents updated. You want to stay prepared with up-to-date documents like your business plan, any licenses that you need, and most importantly, any tax paperwork, your tax forms, your tax documentations, any audits. There are several grant applications that request professional audits of your financials, right? Many grants require this basic documentations, and you don't want to scramble last minute, because usually we're often finding about grant applications at the last minute. So you want to be able to get that information all ready for you to submit your application, keeping your business plan, your EIN paperwork. If you're a nonprofit, your nonprofit documentations, your licenses, your financial plans, your outlooks, your tax forms. You want to be able to quickly have this information to provide and upload into the application process. Funders are more likely to trust applicants who demonstrate this professionalism and organization. Here, I want you to spend 15 minutes this week to locate the core documents and check if anything is needed to be updated. If you don't have any letters of support from any previous customers or clients that shows the impact that your business and your program has done, now is the time to reach out to folks and begin to compile this information. Step 2 is to create a digital grant folder. All of the documentation that we just talked about in step 1, you want to organize this into reusable content in one place. Google Drive, even if you have at Gmail, allows you to create folders and store documentation that you can access from anywhere. You can also do it on your computer, but the Google Drive is one of the best places because you can apply for a grant every and anywhere you will be. Just logging into your Google Drive and have full access to your documentation. And if you're like me, you also use your cell phone and your digital devices, you can log into the Google Drive and be able to respond to last minute applications and or emails if you have to forward them via email in a second stage process, right? This saves you so much time and allows you to be ready. And again, showing that proof to the funders that you are well organized and prepared. Saving additional documentation in that Google Drive, like your founder's bio, your business description, the mission, having a one pager in addition to a full business plan will be key and really help you display that readiness. So you want to start a folder and you could name it something like grant readiness and drop those documents in there now. And the third and final step is to track grant opportunities. Also using the free application that Google provides us, get yourself and start yourself a Google Sheets with all the list of applications that you have been applying for, a list of them that are available to you and that you may fit the criteria for. Have a column with the um, uh, uh, expiration dates or due dates so that you can keep track effectively. You want to stay on top of the deadlines and new opportunities by building a grant tracking system on your own, and using Google Sheets will help you do that effectively. You can sign up for newsletters through places like Hello Alice, Hello Skip, grants.gov. iFund Women has been a great source to stay up to date with, and also Her Sweet Spot provides a grant finding funder that we think are relevant for our suite mates. So being consistent with your tracking gives you more chances of winning, and following up so that you know the next steps you need to take, right? So set up a spreadsheet. Use Google Sheets. All of your Google tools are completely free and accessible to you, whether you have a domain email address or a @Gmail address. I strongly suggest a domain email address that will again add that credibility to your business. But if you need to, with a @Gmail address, again, you'll have these tools ready for you and accessible to you. So your grant success starts with preparation. You want to start small. You want to apply often, review those sheets. Oftentimes, there are lists that are created through those different platforms that I mentioned, and some of the applications, they announce it before the application becomes open. So you want a column that says open date and deadline date so that you can review the criteria. Take those questions if they show them to you in advance. Go to using the tools like ChatGPT, Gemini to help you craft common responses that are in alignment to your business's objective, your project goals, and that could also show that you are eligible and aligned with the applicant's goals. You don't want to copy and paste every single response that you have for every application. It is so important that you review each grant's application and ensure that the responses are not simple copy paste, but are tailored for the application that you're signing up for. And that is all we have for today. I will stop sharing and open it up for any questions. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Masha. That was incredibly insightful, packed with practical guidance and advice. So we'll now take a few questions before moving on to our next speaker. If you have a question for Masha, you can raise your hand and unmute so you can speak, or you can type your question into the chat and I'll read it aloud. Thank you.
Thank you, Happiness. And anyone could reach me at community@hersweetspot.com if you have any questions or need help reviewing your grant applications. Thanks, Happiness.
All right, thank you. Okay, it seems there's no question for now. All right, we can ask our question after the second speaker if there is none for now. Thank you so much, Masha.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
All right, next, pleased to introduce our second speaker, Shivani Bosverala. Shivani is an experienced information technology project director with a strong background in government technology, public service, and digital transformation. Today, Shivani will be doing a live demonstration of the California Grants Portal, a centralized platform where you can explore all current grant opportunities administered by the state of California, including some that are federally funded. She'll walk us through how to search for grants, filter by eligibility, and stay updated on new opportunities. Shivani, thank you for being here today. Please, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Happiness, and good morning, everyone. I am with the California State Library, presenting the California Grants Portal, which was born out of a legislation back in 2019. It basically asks all state agencies to put in any competitive first come, first serve, including loans and federal assistance fund opportunities into this portal. Starting July 1, 2020. So anything prior to July 1, 2020 is not in here. However, since then, there's been an expansion of the legislation to even add the post-award information starting 2022. So all state agencies that are entering information to the portal are now required to also provide a number of applications received, number of awardees made, and each individual awardee information since 2022, July 1, 2022. So with that said, I wanted to take this opportunity to share this resource to you, and hopefully you can pass this on to other organizations that you might be aware of that can benefit from this resource as a central place for all eligible grant opportunities. Couple things I want to note prior to doing a bit of a demo of how to utilize this tool is to make sure that this opportunity portal is California State Opportunity Portal. We don't host applications on our portal, so you still have to go through the department's process to apply for the grant opportunity and follow through with the department. This is only a central place to find eligible grants. So in other words, if you're looking for grant opportunities in a specific key term or a specific applicant type or time frame, you can find all grant opportunities in this central place. With that said, California Grants Portal is grants.ca.gov. If you go to the homepage, you'll see this page here on top. You can actually fill in the sentence and say you are a business, and business includes all small business, large, medium, and then you can select a category that you might be interested in looking for a grant in. So our categories are very high level for a reason. It's to ensure that all grantees can find grant opportunities that might be tagged in broader categories. So for instance, if you're looking for grant opportunities in environment and water related grant opportunities, it will be under all environment and water. So that way we ensure that you don't miss out on an opportunity that could have been possibly, your organization may have been eligible for. So ensuring that we have 19 categories that you can select from, and you can select multiple categories if your organization looks for grant opportunities in multiple categories. You can also select a time frame. So in other words, until when the application deadline is approaching. So if you're a small organization, don't have a lot of resources, and you may want to look for a grant opportunity that may be coming in the future, you can do so by selecting, I want to see grant opportunities that are closing in 3 months, not in a month. So you can do that here as a filtering option. You can also scroll down and look at just do categories, a more visual appealing way of searching the same information. You can also select just by the applicant type. And then there's some recently posted grant opportunities just to give an idea of how often the grant opportunities are up to date on the portal. Again, all information is added by the departments, so we don't have insight on when they're going to post the opportunities, but they will post them as they are open for application. So here you can see 19 hours ago, a grant was posted here, 4 days, 6 days, and so forth, right? So you can kind of give you a better sense of like how often the grant opportunities are added to the portal. Down here, we have a statistical dashboard that runs every 24 hours. So we have 174 grant opportunities currently forecasted and active, and then $16.3 billion available. So it gives you a sense of, how much money is available to apply for on the portal here. So with that said, this is just the homepage and how to navigate. But let's say you are interested in putting in a keyword or advanced search, right? So you go to our Find Grants up here on top. It will take you to this page where you can do advanced search. A couple of things to know on the keyword search, we have a tooltip. So what does the keyword search searches for? It searches for anything in the text. So if, let's say, you put in a keyword into this search box, and it's mentioned in the title or any text of a grant opportunities that's entered by the State Department, it will pop up as a result. So for instance, if I put in, I'm just going to do a infrastructure just so you guys can see. It's a pretty broad, word, and it's going to default to forecasted active, and you can see the closed grant opportunities, which I recommend you doing if, let's say, your search comes back with nothing. Right. So, but for right now, I'm going to leave it at forecasted active and see what result come back as. So as you can see, I put in infrastructure, forecasted active. I didn't select any category. I didn't select the agency or any other filters here. These are all the opportunities that have infrastructure mentioned somewhere. So as you can see, this one has infrastructure in the title, but the others don't. They might have infrastructure mentioned in the description or other text format. Okay, so how many are there? There are, seems like 20 grant opportunities. There's 25 total and under infrastructure currently forecasted or active. So it gives you a better sense. So let's say you didn't find any and the results came up, sorry, there's nothing in there. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have any grant opportunity under that key term. It could mean that possibly there were opportunities in the past and you just, if they're not open for application today. So in those cases, I would suggest selecting closed and apply a filter. And then you can see all closed grant opportunities and active. So that way you kind of have a sense of sometimes the grant opportunities come back every year, depending on the budget funding, right? So a lot of times you'll see here it says 2020, 2021, and after that it hasn't come back, or maybe it did. I don't know, they named it differently, but it will give you a better sense of what was open in the past, and it may come back every, the following year. Not always, but it will give you a better sense of what was open. So the other thing I want to mention is forecasted are those that are not open for application, that are just as a kind of an announcement to say, hey, it might be coming up in the future. Forecasted grants are not mandated by the legislation, so the state agencies are not required to put those in. Some departments will put those in, so if you wanted to see what was open for only forecasted, you can just do forecast and no keyword, and you'll see all the forecasted grant opportunities. Again, these are up to department's discretion to publicize. They're not mandated by the legislation, so they're just upcoming. Okay, so they're not open for applications today. Active grants are open for application. You can apply for them, and so those are the two that we default on automatically when you come here. As I mentioned earlier, loans are also included here. So if you didn't want to see loans, you can say, I don't want to see loans. Or you just also exclude opportunities that are requiring matching fund. So you could do exclusion on those two if you need to. Okay. Couple other things. If, let's say, you're an organization to always come back with the same exact keyword search and category, you're not going to search for anything else. You can actually select a category here. I'm going to do disaster prevention here. And I'm just going to leave the keyword open, but you can add a keyword, and I'm going to say I'm a business. I want to see anything that's disaster prevention relief category and for a business. Okay. You can save a current refinement here. What it will do is it'll save your search filter that you've already selected and drop a cookie in your browser. So if you, let's say you come back to grants.ca.gov and you want to find grants, it will show up with the same result because there's a cookie in your browser. If you do clean your cache on your browser, it will go away, right? So you're gonna have to reset that every time if you clean your cache often. So there's that opportunity to be able to save your refinements so you don't have to do the search thing every time. Another thing that you can do is subscribe for notifications through our subscribe on top. It basically gives you a digest of everything that's new in the grants portal entered by the state agencies. So you can get a daily or a weekly digest, and you can say, you know, I want to see everything that's new, or you can select the categories. So again, it's a or, not and. So if you selected newest grants and another category, you will get duplicates. Okay, so if a department entered a grant opportunity tagged with employment, labor, and training, and it's a new grant, obviously, you'll get 2 emails. So you want to do one or the other. So either you do categories or you do all new. Okay. You can subscribe for that email so that way you don't have to come to the portal every single day to see what's new and, you know, whether or not your organization is eligible for applying for it. So let's say you find a grant opportunity and you're ready to read a little bit more about it to determine if you're eligible. You can do for more information on our Find Grants page, and you could just read about the purpose, who's eligible for it, and small information, any exclusions geographically. To see the entire details of the grant opportunities, you'll click either on the title, or you could do view full grant details under the more info. So you'll go there and you'll see this. So this is all the information that the department has entered about this grant opportunity. The description will tell you, you know, any exclusions, any priorities, anything that you need to know prior to determining if you're eligible for this grant. And then obviously eligible applicant type will determine if you are eligible as a business or, you know, public agency, in this case, in tribal government. Couple things to note: when you are ready and you have determined that you might be eligible for this grant opportunities, always go to grant guidelines and read the entire guidelines prior to applying. Because sometimes the departments may have a lengthy document that can't fit here. So you want to make sure that you have all the information prior to applying. So you'll always go to grant guidelines, and that will take you to the department's website where the RFA and NOFA is living, and then you can review that and then determine if you're eligible and apply. One of the things that are part of the legislation, all state agencies are required to do is to provide a contact information. So here you can see that you have a contact person for this specific grant. You have a phone number and an email address. And part of the legislation, the state agencies are required to give us a phone number and an email address, not specifically a name of the person, but some departments will put the name of the person. So in those cases, if let's say you were reading this and you're like, I have questions and I don't understand something, this is who you contact. If you contact us, we will give you this information to contact. So, you know, if you want to eliminate a step to contact us, you could just contact the person directly or the email address directly or phone number. So those are some of the information that you want to make sure that you review prior to applying. We also have a contact up here on the right that will actually give you our mailbox, how you can contact us, the CA Grants Portal at library.ca.gov with any questions about the Grants Portal, or if you have any suggestions or comments that you want to drop for us, you can do that through this form. We try to help make sure that, you know, you're getting the answers that you need from the department. So for any reason you have contacted the department contact and they have not gotten back to you, and it's past 48 hours a business day, and you're just like, I'm not getting anywhere, you can always contact us, and we can try to get involved and mitigate that piece as well. But we won't have any answers for you about the grant opportunity, unfortunately, because we don't oversee them. Couple other things that to know. about this site will give you an overview of what is required by the legislation on this portal. So, you can kind of read what the departments are supposed to do. You can also see our statistics dashboard, which is where all of our data is. So anything that you want to see from 2020 or CSV files are here for the grant offered, and then the fiscal year post-awardee information is here. If you're more of a visual person and you want to do our dashboard, you can also look at how many post-award, meaning how many recipients have received money in the fiscal year 23-24, and then how many departments have actually given out money. And so it's just more of a visual, dashboard that you can kind of review. And then we also have a grant offer. So this information is running from July 1, 2020 to present, to give you a better sense of how many grants have been offered since 2020 and how many departments have participated and how many are forecasted versus active and closed currently. Okay. So this updates every 24 hours along with the CSV files. So if you are someone who likes to dig into more data and do statistical analysis, you can definitely pull our CSV down and slice it and dice it however you need to. A couple of the FAQs that we have, you can read about what's required. Again, some of the questions that we've heard over time. We also have a glossary to give you a better sense of what fields mean that departments are entering. So sometimes you might think a specific field means one thing, but it may be different for the grants portal world. So, if you ever have that question, you can always read our glossary part here. That's pretty much it. We do have the 4 state agencies, and that's only for the state agencies, and that's what they use to enter the information into the portal. We do not have any accounts for grantees, so everything is open and public. So you can go and search for things. The only way you can save your refinements is going to the save refinement piece here on top. That's the only way you can save your grant opportunity search filter. So with that, that's pretty much what the grants portal is and how to navigate. Are there any questions or any possible keyword searches that you would like me to show results on? I'm happy to do that at this time, but it's really up to any interaction that you guys have about the portal or need more information on it.
Okay, thank you so much, Shivani. That was helpful. It's great to see such a practical tool in action. And we now have time for final questions. This can be for Shivani, Masha, or about anything we discussed today. Again, feel free to raise your hand and unmute or type your questions into the chat and I'll read it out loud. Thank you. Okay. Can anyone ask questions? All right. That was great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, that brings us to the end of today's session. A huge thank you to our incredible speakers, Masha for her guidance on grant application mastery, Shivani for showing us how to navigate the California Grants Portal, and of course, thank you to everyone who joined us today. As promised, you will receive a recording of today's session, helpful links and grant resources, and speaker contact information if you would like to reach out afterwards. And finally, if you're interested in becoming a tenant at Aurora Business Center, please go ahead and scan the QR code now, showing on your screen. We'd love to welcome you into our business community. Thank you once again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye,
All
everyone.
right.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you,
Have a
Shivani.
good
Thank
one.
you, Masha.
Welcome.